My name is Bobby. Standing here in the warehouse I've been working in for 9 years, I'm flooded with memories. It's been a year since that fateful day when I was mocked and humiliated. But now, I'm running operations, and the son of the owner is learning from me. It all seems like a dream, a complete turnaround from where I was. I remember the day the whole chaos started like it was yesterday. I'd been working at Horizon Retail for 8 years. This company sold a wide range of products, from winter coats to summer beach gear and household essentials. We supplied hundreds of stores all over, and the main warehouse, where I was based, was the heart of the operation. Any mistake here could cause a domino effect, hurting every store. One ordinary Tuesday morning, instead of our regular floor supervisor, a young man walked in. His name was Ryan, a 25-year-old. He was the son of Mr. Harrison, the CEO of Horizon Retail. Mr. Harrison was a tough but fair man. He built the company from the ground up, starting with a small store and expanding it into a retail giant. Ryan, on the other hand, had a silver spoon in his mouth. He'd just graduated from a fancy business school and was given a high-profile position at the company 2 months earlier, a position none of us really understood. He strolled in with a big folder, looking like he was the king of the world. "Good morning, everyone," he said, barely glancing at any of us. "I'm taking over these morning briefings from now on. My father thinks it's time I get more involved in operations." We all just nodded. What could we say? He was the boss's son. He started talking about new goals, new targets, and new efficiency standards. Big words that sounded great in theory, but anyone who actually worked on the floor could tell he had no idea how things really worked. He rambled on about moving more products faster, cutting time, and pushing harder. It was as if he thought he could just snap his fingers and everything would run like a well-oiled machine. Then he brought up the holiday shipment schedule. "We're pushing everything out early this year," Ryan announced. "Winter stock goes out this week, summer items next week. I've already revised the distribution list." My heart sank. I'd worked here long enough to know the regional differences in product demand. I raised my hand, an old habit from school. I felt silly as soon as I did it, but he noticed. "Yes, I think there might be a problem with those lists," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "The numbers don't match what the stores actually ordered. The southern stores ordered more summer items and less winter stock, and the northern stores need the opposite. If we send winter boots to stores near the coast where it never snows, they'll just send everything back, and we'll lose weeks trying to fix it." He looked at me as if I'd just interrupted something extremely important with nonsense. "The numbers are fine. I checked them myself," he replied, with an air of arrogance. I tried to explain further, telling him about a similar disaster 4 years ago when someone mixed up regional orders. It had cost the company millions of dollars and led to 3 people losing their jobs. But Ryan just stared at me for a moment, then gave me a cold smile, the kind that sent shivers down my spine. "What's your name?" he asked. "Bobby," I answered. "And what's your position here, Bobby?" He continued. "I work the floor. I check inventory, coordinate with drivers, and make sure shipments match orders before trucks leave," I said proudly. "So, you load boxes," he sneered. "I do more than that. I verify everything to make sure nothing goes wrong before it leaves here," I retorted. He nodded slowly, as if considering my words, but then he burst out laughing. "You're too stupid to matter here," he said, still smiling wickedly. "Just do what you're told and shut up." The words hit me like a sledgehammer. Everyone in the room went dead silent. I could feel my face turning red, and my hands started to tremble. I wanted to defend myself, to tell him I'd been here longer than him and knew more about the business. But he was the CEO's son, and I was just a floor worker. I mumbled, "I understand." He then continued his speech as if nothing had happened. I stopped listening. My mind was racing, repeating those hurtful words over and over, "You're too stupid to matter here." After the meeting, I went about my shift in a daze. I watched as the trucks were loaded with the wrong products, going to the wrong places. I could see the disaster unfolding in real time, but Ryan's words echoed in my head, so I kept my mouth shut and did as I was told. That evening, after my shift, I sat in my car for 20 minutes, my hands still shaking. I felt angry, humiliated, and small. All my 8 years of hard work and experience seemed meaningless because Ryan, with his fancy title and famous last name, decided I was too stupid to matter. When I got home, I found an old notebook in my kitchen drawer. I sat down and started writing. I wrote down everything that happened that morning, every single detail I could remember, from the exact words Ryan said to the tone of his voice. I also wrote down the shipment numbers and the distribution lists I'd seen. I didn't know why I was doing it, maybe just to hold on to some sense of control or to make sure I wasn't imagining things. The next few days were torture. Ryan never apologized, not even a glance in my direction. I became invisible to him, which was somehow worse than being insulted. My co-workers were awkward around me. Some avoided me completely, while a few gave me apologetic looks but didn't say a word. One day, during lunch break, an older guy named Tom, who worked in the receiving area, pulled me aside. "You were right, he said quietly. "About the shipment numbers." "It doesn't matter now," I replied. "You should go talk to Mr. Harrison directly and tell him what's happening," he suggested. I shook my head. "Mr. Harrison is overseas for a big expansion deal this month. And even if he was here, do you think he'd believe me over his own son?" Tom had no answer for that. 2 weeks passed. I kept going to work, doing my job, and watching the approaching disaster. Then, it hit. The phone in the supervisor's office started ringing non-stop. Store managers were calling, frustrated and confused. Why were they receiving winter coats when they ordered tank tops? Why were swimsuits arriving at locations where people were preparing for snow? The supervisor, a woman named Lisa who had been with the company for 15 years, looked more stressed each day. She spent hours on the phone trying to calm people down, but she couldn't fully explain what was going on because she didn't understand it herself. One afternoon, I heard Lisa talking to Ryan through the open door while I was moving inventory nearby. "We have serious problems," Lisa said. 17 stores have called today alone. They're threatening to send everything back. This is going to cost us millions. Ryan, still with that confident tone, replied, "It's probably just the suppliers messing up. Contact them and tell them to fix it." Lisa countered, "I did contact them. The suppliers sent exactly what we ordered. The problem is ours. Someone mixed up the distribution lists." Ryan went silent for a moment and then said, "Well, figure it out. That's what you're here for." But instead of looking into it, he started blaming everyone else. The warehouse workers weren't careful enough, the drivers weren't checking properly, and the supervisors weren't supervising. He never once admitted that it could be his fault. As more stores called and the complaints got louder, some stores even threatened to break their agreements with Horizon Retail. Ryan started coming to the warehouse more often, looking desperate. He walked around with a tense expression, asking questions, but he never asked me. He didn't even glance in my direction. Part of me felt a little satisfied seeing him struggle, but I also knew things were going to get even worse. 3 weeks after that terrible morning, things reached a breaking point. It was a Friday evening. Most people had already left the warehouse. I was doing the final checks on the weekend inventory when I heard fast footsteps behind me. I turned around, and there was Ryan. But he looked completely different from the confident young man who had laughed at me 3 weeks ago. His hair was a mess, his shirt was wrinkled, and he was sweating despite the cool warehouse air. "Bobby," he said, out of breath. "I need your help." Those words hung in the air between us. I just stared at him, not saying a word. This shipment situation has gotten really bad, much worse than anyone realized. My father is coming back Monday morning. He's going to want answers and solutions, he said, running a hand through his hair. You know the suppliers, right? You've worked here the longest. You know how everything connects. Can you tell me how to fix this mess? I put down the clipboard I was holding and looked at him for a long time. I saw the panic and desperation in his eyes. Why would someone too stupid to matter know anything useful? I asked quietly. His face changed. He seemed to remember what he had said to me. Look, I'm sorry about that, he said quickly. I was under a lot of pressure. My father had just given me this responsibility, and I was stressed. I said something stupid. I didn't mean it. I scoffed. You meant it. I didn't. I swear. I was just. He trailed off, realizing there was no good excuse. Please, I'll make it right. I'll apologize publicly. I'll tell everyone I was wrong. Just help me sort this out before Monday. I thought about it. It would have been so easy to just tell him what to do and save the company from more losses. I still cared about Horizon Retail and the people who worked there. But then I remembered the humiliation, the way he had laughed at me in front of everyone, and how no one had defended me. No, I said firmly. He blinked, looking shocked. What? I said no. I'm not helping you, I repeated. But you just said you care about the company, he argued. I never said that. You assumed it, I replied, picking up my clipboard and turning back to my work. You should go figure it out yourself. Your management. I just load trucks, I said coldly. He pleaded, Bobby, please. You don't understand how serious this is. We're losing millions. Stores are threatening to leave. My father. He stopped, not wanting to admit what his father might do. That sounds like a you problem, I said without looking at him. He then said, I'll do anything. Name it. A raise, a promotion, better hours. I turned back to face him. You think this is about money? It's about respect. Something you clearly don't have for people like me. He said, I'm sorry. But I wasn't buying it. You said you were under pressure. That's not an apology. That's an excuse. I walked past him towards the exit. Good luck on Monday. He followed me. Bobby, please. I'm begging you. I can't lose this position. My father will never forgive me. This was my chance to prove myself, and I messed it up. I need someone who actually knows what they're doing to help me fix it. I stopped and turned to look at him one last time. You had someone who knew what they were doing 3 weeks ago. You called her too stupid to matter and told her to shut up and load trucks. So, that's what she's going to do because that's all she's qualified for, apparently. I left him standing there in the warehouse and drove home. That weekend, I felt a strange sense of relief. I barely thought about work. I cleaned my apartment, watched movies, and cooked proper meals for the first time in weeks. I slept well, something I hadn't done since that Tuesday morning. On Monday morning, I arrived at the warehouse as usual before sunrise. The place was unusually busy. There were more people, more noise, and a tense atmosphere in the air. Then I saw Mr. Harrison. He was standing in the main warehouse area, talking to Lisa and several other managers. His face was stern. Next to him, Ryan looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. I clocked in quietly, trying to stay out of sight, and started my morning routine. But then Lisa noticed me. Bobby, can you come here, please? She called. My heart started pounding. I walked over slowly. Mr. Harrison looked at me with a sharp, assessing gaze. You're Bobby? I'm told you tried to warn my son about a shipment problem 3 weeks ago. Is that correct? He asked. I glanced at Ryan. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Yes, sir, I replied. Tell me exactly what happened, he said. I told him about the morning meeting, how I noticed the distribution lists were wrong, and how I tried to explain the problem. I kept my voice calm and stuck to the facts, not mentioning the insult. When I finished, Mr. Harrison was silent for a moment. Then he turned to Ryan. Is this true? Ryan nodded miserably. And did you check her concerns? Verify whether she was right? Ryan mumbled, I thought I assumed the lists were correct. I spent hours on them and didn't think. Mr. Harrison looked back at me. Why didn't you push harder? Come directly to me? I said, you were overseas, sir. And I hesitated. And your son made it very clear that my opinion didn't matter, that I should just do my job and stay quiet. Mr. Harrison's jaw tightened. Did he? What else did he say? I looked at Ryan, and he was looking at the ground. I almost felt sorry for him, but not quite. He said I was too stupid to matter here and told me to shut up and load trucks. The warehouse went completely quiet. Everyone was listening. Mr. Harrison's expression didn't change much, but I could tell he was angry. He turned to Ryan with a look that scared me. Outside my office, now, he said. They left together, and Ryan looked back at me once with genuine fear in his eyes. The rest of us stood there in an awkward silence. Then Lisa cleared her throat and said, everyone back to work. I went to my station, but my hands were shaking again, this time for different reasons. An hour later, Lisa came to find me. Mr. Harrison wants to speak with you in the upstairs office, she said. My mind started racing. Was I in trouble? Was I going to be blamed for not doing more to prevent the disaster? I followed her upstairs. The office was spacious but not overly flashy. Mr. Harrison was sitting behind a large wooden desk, looking tired. Ryan was standing to the side, looking like a broken man. Sit, Mr. Harrison said, gesturing to a seat. I sat down. I've spent the last hour going through everything, the shipment lists, the orders, the complaints, the financial damage. And I've spoken with my son about what happened 3 weeks ago, Mr. Harrison said. I waited. You were right about all of it. The distribution was completely backwards. If we had listened to you, we could have avoided millions in losses and saved our relationships with dozens of stores, he continued. Yes, sir, I replied. My son has explained to me exactly what he said to you and how he treated you. That is unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. I don't care whose son he is. Nobody in this company talks to another person that way, he said firmly. Ryan shifted uncomfortably but stayed silent. Mr. Harrison went on, I built this company from nothing. I started in a warehouse smaller than this one, doing exactly what you do, loading, checking, and learning every aspect of the business. I thought I had taught my son to respect everyone who works here. Clearly, I failed. Father, Ryan started, but Mr. Harrison cut him off. I'm not talking to you right now. Then he looked back at me. Bobby, I'm offering you my sincere apology for what happened in the choice. My son needs to learn this business from the ground up, just like I did and you did. He needs to understand that the people working on the floor are the ones who truly know how things work. I'm removing him from his current position. He's going to spend the next 6 months working in the warehouse, learning the job he dismissed as unimportant. And he's going to report directly to you. I was stunned. Mr. Harrison continued, you know this warehouse better than anyone. You spot problems before they become disasters. You care about getting things right. Those are the qualities we need in leadership. I'm promoting you to floor operations lead. You'll oversee the daily warehouse operations, train new workers, and supervise anyone who needs to learn how things work, including my son. The choice I'm offering you is whether you want this position, whether you want to stay with a company that allowed you to be treated so poorly. I wouldn't blame you if you said no and walked away. I thought about it. Part of me wanted to leave. I wanted to tell him that some damage can't be fixed with a promotion. But another part of me remembered why I'd stayed all these years. I was good at this job, I cared about doing things right, and this job, despite everything, mattered to me. I'll stay. I'll take the position, I said. Mr. Harrison nodded, with a look of approval on his face. Good. You start immediately. Your first responsibility is teaching my son everything you know. And Ryan, you will do exactly what she tells you. You will ask questions when you don't understand. You will treat her and everyone else in this warehouse with respect. If I hear one complaint, you're finished here. Understood? Yes, sir, Ryan said quietly. Dismissed, both of you, Mr. Harrison said. We left the office together and walked down the stairs in silence. When we reached the warehouse floor, Ryan stopped. Bobby, I interrupted him. Your father already apologized. You're here to work now. That's all that matters. He nodded slowly. Where do I start? He asked. I looked at this person who had once made me feel so worthless. Go find Lisa. Tell her you need warehouse work.